In today's video, I am going to teach you how to create a pivot table in Excel. A pivot table is a powerful way to summarize and analyze data without doing complex formulas. It can quickly group information and calculate totals in a way that is easy to adjust. To begin, you will need a dataset that is already entered into Excel in a clear table-like format. For this example, you are going to highlight the entire dataset so Excel knows exactly what information to use. First, highlight your entire dataset from cell A3 to C8. As you do this, make sure you include all the rows and columns that contain the data you want to summarize. You may also notice that the starting row is A3, which suggests that row 1 or row 2 likely contains column headers. If your headers are in a different row, you would normally include them in the selection, but for these instructions, you should follow the exact range from A3 to C8. Once the cells are highlighted, you are ready to tell Excel that you want to build a pivot table based on them. Next, click the Insert tab on the ribbon. This tab contains tools for adding charts, tables, and other features to your workbook. When you select the Insert tab, look across the ribbon for the section where tables and pivot-related options appear. This is where you will find the button you need to create the pivot table layout. Now click the Pivot Table button on the far left. When you choose this option, Excel opens a pop-up dialog box. Take a moment to confirm that your dataset is still selected correctly, since pivot tables depend on using the right data range. In the next part, you will decide where the pivot table should appear. In the pop-up dialog box, select Existing Worksheet. This choice means the pivot table will be placed in a location you specify, rather than automatically creating a new sheet. After selecting Existing Worksheet, Excel will show a location box where you can choose the starting cell. Now click inside the location box and select cell E3. Choosing E3 is important because it determines where the pivot table will begin placing its output. A common best practice is to pick an empty area so your pivot table does not overlap existing content. After you have selected E3, confirm that the location in the dialog box shows the correct cell reference. Then click OK to generate the blank pivot table layout. At this point, you should see an empty pivot table area on the worksheet, along with the pivot table field layout panel. This blank layout is where you will place fields to organize your data into rows and calculate values. The field layout panel on the right lists the available fields from your dataset, such as category and sales. Now drag the category field into the rows area on the right. When you do this, Excel will start building the structure for the pivot table by grouping items based on the category values. The pivot table rows will display the distinct categories from your data. Take a quick look at the pivot table area to see the categories appear as row labels. This step is what creates the main grouping, so it is a key part of the pivot table. Finally, drag the sales field into the values area on the right. The values area is where Excel performs calculations, such as totals or averages depending on the default setting. After you place sales there, Excel will calculate the relevant number for each category. If Excel does not automatically show the result you expect, you can usually adjust the calculation method later. But for now, placing the field into values is the critical action that turns the grouping into a useful summary. And that is all there is to it. That covers everything you need to know to create a basic pivot table in Excel using these steps.